Hey, what's up? I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. For the last couple of videos of this year, I had a bunch of topics written down, so next couple of videos are already planned in my head. I just have to record them. Today's video, I had a plan to talk about AI and what it means for game development and all those things, but not feeling the topic anymore as I'm recording the video. So we're not going to talk about that at all. As you can probably tell from the subject of the video, we're going to talk about a couple of things that I've been asked many times before by many game developers starting out and wanting to start a business, start a company, start a studio, or just go solo but still sell games and have a business. A couple of interesting things to talk about and very, very common questions. So let's dive into those after the intro. The next couple of videos are written down like I have next week. We're going to talk about Residual, the last game I released, which was in 2021. What went right, what went wrong, am I happy with it, am I happy with the results, of course the finances. It's been an interesting project and it's an interesting game to talk about. Kickstarter, publisher, then no publisher, then there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and check next week's video. The week after, I'm going to talk about the games I've been working on, 2 games, and this week I've been working on Heroes of Loot, Gauntlet of Power. I had so much fun. I've been so productive. You can check out the Discord that I've been showing so many things there. Anyway, we're going to talk about it in 2 weeks, and then of course after that it will be the end of the year review video that I do every year. Talk about how the year went, and that's going to be interesting as well. But today's topic are a couple of business thingies. I'm going to keep it very short and to the point. Got these questions many times, and I just saw a Discord conversation last night while I wasn't online talking about registering a company or not. So let's make that the first point. Do you need to set up as a company if you want to start creating games? Now, obviously, you don't need to set up a company if you want to create games. You can just download the tools, start working, and go for it, create those games. But when you want to release them and you want to sell the games, it's probably best to set up a company. The type of company will depend a lot on where you live. It will be different in many countries, so I can't really give any good advice on that. You'll have to figure out what the best type of company works for you and what you want to do. I'm in the Netherlands. I'm just a sole proprietorship, if you would translate it to English or American countries. And that just means I'm pretty much working alone. I'm my own entity as a business. I can have people working for me, but it's most common that I don't. And there are many other structures you can go for. But you want to set up as a company because a lot of things that you're going to be dealing with, or a lot of companies like Google, Apple, Valve, Steam, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, they will require you to be a company of sorts, or it will certainly make a lot of stuff easier and smoother for you. So you don't need to set up a company to create games, and if you want to release them for free, go ahead. If you're gonna sell them on a site like itch.io, you can still just do it without setting up a company. But once you start growing and make more money and want to get onto multiple platforms, it's probably best if you set up a company somehow in whatever entities you have in your country. So yeah, I would recommend setting up a company, but maybe not on day one, maybe closer to releasing your actual game. That's probably wise. So when you're about to release a game, the next problem you're going to be running into, or at least I had a lot of people ask about this, is things like copyright and trademarks. Are you going to be in trouble? Should you register for them? All those type of things. First of all, if it's your creation and you're not infringing on other people's copyright, then it's your copyright. If you create something, if you're a musician, an artist, a game developer, or whatever, if you create something, you have the copyright automatically. That's yours. You are the one who created it. You're the owner of it, as long as you actually created it and not used other people's stuff, because then they have parts of that copyright. So if you create a game, you have the copyright. Don't need to do much about it. Of course, if other people start abusing your stuff, then you'll have to somehow figure out what you can do about it. but in general, you are the one have the copyright. You can copy it, you can distribute it, you can release it, you can sell it, and nobody else can do that without your approval. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. That's how we get illegal copies of games, and then there are shady companies and shady people who will take your game and sell it on different type of platforms and gray markets and all that stuff. But officially, you're the one who can do that, and they are not allowed to do it. As for trademarks, that's a little bit different. Trademarks cost money. You have to register your trademark, the name of your game, the name of your company, the name of your characters. You have to register that, and for that you have to pay. And that's not just worldwide. You have to do that in various regions of the world. So there's a different one for Europe, a different one for Africa and Asia and America. I think, I'm not sure, but pretty sure all these are different areas. And that's step one. The next problem is that if somebody then tries to use your characters or your name or your logos or whatever, you'll have to defend your trademark. And that means you have to be able to pay for lawyers that will fly or have an office wherever the trademark issue is, and they will try to fix it. And it's gonna be very costly. First of all, don't care about it too much. Most likely people will not care about your game or your characters or your logos or your trademarks. You're pretty safe in that area. Nobody really cares unless you make a huge game like Minecraft or Farmville or whatever. Once you get into those areas, or in general, a good rule is if you can pay for the lawyers to protect your trademark, then you can try to think about a trademark. For most indie game developers, that means don't bother, don't worry about it. You can't do much about it anyway. And also, if you have a trademark and you cannot protect it with lawyers, it devalues, and it means other people will also be able to abuse it pretty much, or more easily, because, well, you're not protecting it from this one, so why are you protecting it from that one? So that's why Nintendo is very strict on people using their characters in whatever, in videos or whatever, to make money. Nintendo just really forces their trademark and protects it very heavily. And honestly, I can't blame them for it. They've been making a whole company out of it for like the last 40-50 years, building up these properties, intellectual properties, and trademarking Mario, Zelda, trademarking the logos, trademarking the characters. I can understand, because their whole business is built on these characters and these worlds. So they want to protect it as much as they can in order not to pretty much lose everything they are and have. So for us smaller indie developers, yeah, probably not going to be worth it. And I wouldn't waste money on trademarks, and the copyright is free, so just create games. So let's add to that the intellectual property thing. If you're going to go with a publisher or other investors or companies and they want your intellectual property, try not to go that route. Honestly, they can't force you to give it to them or sell it to them or whatever. Keep the intellectual property yourself. You never know if a game suddenly becomes a hit, or maybe 1, 2, 3 years later it becomes a hit, or gets picked up by things, or something else happens that suddenly makes your intellectual property interesting. You want to make sure it's still yours. And also, a publisher could just buy it from you as they sign a deal with you for that game, and then the game does very well, but at that point they don't really need you to create a sequel or spin-offs, because they then own the intellectual property. They can just ignore you and go with another developer or develop it in-house or whatever. So keep intellectual property, don't sell it, whatever the publisher deal is, keep it yourself. They don't need it to do good business with you. So keep your intellectual property. You created it, you designed it, you came up with it, and it might eventually be worth something. You never know. Which brings us to the nasty stuff of making money. No, not that making money is nasty, but once you start making money, you'll have to start paying things, people, companies, entities, whatever. Paying for taxes, paying your distributors, paying people that create stuff for you, all those type of things. And of course, there's money coming in and there's money going out, and always money going out. All right, let's focus. Accountant. Do you need an accountant for your business? If you just start out, no, you probably don't. I didn't have an accountant for the first couple of years because there was just so little money coming in. Who needs an accountant for that? I can pretty much sort that out myself. But eventually, when your company starts growing and there's money coming in from many sources, and you're just running an actual company and making good money out of it, an accountant is probably worth it. And I know a lot of people say they can do it themselves, and they do it themselves. And sure, calculating how much is coming in and how much is going out, and then how much you owe the tax company or the government or whatever, that's fairly easy. But there are also many rules and laws that you probably don't know about, and different ways of actually saving money or having to pay less income taxes or other things. There's just many rules on those type of things. And yeah, an accountant costs money. That's the worst part of it. They cost a lot of money actually, but that can then be subtracted from the amount of money you make as a company. So business expenses and all those type of things. For me, it's been worth it having an accountant just handling a lot of these things and just keeping up with all the rules. And there's many company rules, especially the Netherlands, and these rules change every now and then. So keeping up with those type of things, I can't keep up with them. It's not my area of expertise. It's not my interest area either. I don't want to know about all these things, but it's pretty good to have somebody that does know about all these things, and every now and then make sure I don't overpay or actually pay less because of certain rule changes. So yeah, I would advise for taking an account, but again, not at the start of your company. And just remember, if you start a company to be your own boss. You don't need to do these things. You can do everything yourself if you want to. You don't need to pay an accountant for stuff if you can do it yourself. Keep that in mind. You're your own boss. That's the whole point of starting a company. But every now and then it's very easy and comforting to know somebody else is taking care of certain things, and you don't have to actually look into it and worry about it. So my advice, get an accountant once you make enough money. I had 4 points for this video, and I just came to the conclusion that I combined copyright and trademarks into one. I had them written down as 2 points. I need to come up with a 4th point for this video to actually make sure the title is correct. So, okay, a thing that's not really a business thing, or maybe it is. I have seen people commenting this on YouTube videos and asking me if they should be worried and if about people suing them for some reason, to having to do with the game. You release a game and then people don't like it and they sue you. These were probably kids asking, I think, I'm not sure, or people from certain countries that are very scared of these type of things. Honestly, I never had anybody sue me for creating a game they didn't like. I'm not sure why they would sue me or what they would think that would accomplish. Also, suing me is fine, but I'm not gonna fly all the way to your country to defend myself, so you probably wouldn't win anything with it. Worst thing that happens, in my experience, is that people, if they don't like your game after buying it, they will leave a bad review. Doesn't happen a lot, of course, but it happens every now and then to everybody, not just me. All game developers get bad reviews every now and then, I hope. Right, bad review, they might refund it. That depends on the platform. It's easier on some platforms and a lot harder on others. They might refund it. In that case, you don't owe them anything because they paid for the game, they didn't like it, they played it, but they still got their money back. So, sorry, I'm getting emotional from it. They refund it, and you honestly don't owe them anything. But it never happened that they sued me or anything like that. That's not gonna happen unless your game somehow breaks their hardware. It's gonna be very difficult to prove that it was your game breaking the hardware. Also, how did you do that? Because even my code, and it's sometimes very terrible code, never broke any hardware, as far as I know. I hope it never. I don't think that ever happened at all. So yeah, don't worry about people suing you over your game. Even if it's the most terrible game they've ever seen or played, don't worry about it. And that's pretty much the end of the video. I think I covered the business points I wanted to cover, and these are things I've seen pop up so many times on YouTube comments and everywhere. So from now on, I'll just refer you to this video if you have a question like this. If there are other questions that I haven't answered, comments below, or hop on the Discord and come talk about it pretty much. And make sure to subscribe. There are some cool videos coming up. Residual, Regulated City, and Gauntlet of Power, and then of course the end of the year video, which is probably going to be a bit different than other years because it's been a very different, weird year for me. So I still have to see how I'm gonna do that in a video. So yeah, I'm gonna edit this video. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. See you next week's video talking about Residual, a cool game with a weird history in creating it and getting it released. So gonna be a fun video. See you next week. Bye.